I know one time you and I were talking about when they moved the people out of Jackson Heights.
We're going to bring you back.
That's what they said.
We're going to bring you back. They had that say, and City of Shreveport said, we're going to bring you back.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened with that? I mean, why not? I mean, I wasn't here. I'm just trying to really get an understanding. And why, even if they didn't bring them back, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why wasn't home ownership offered to them, to whatever communities they went to. Now, even though Claiborne Freeway, that's what they're fighting to tear down, but this is one thing I'm looking at. They haven't even started that 49 build here yet, even though Roy Burrell says it's shovel ready. Okay, it's been shovel ready for, I guess, since Sister Margaret back in 1996 or 98 and said it's not gonna be. It's been shovel ready, but the shovel can't go down and dig nothing until they have the money. There's no money. The Committee of 100, I heard that they're now, each one of their members are collecting or trying to make $100,000 each so they can have the money to do what they need to do to start this. But I mean, shovel ready, okay, we're ready too. Whatever it is, you've been shovel ready. Our city is broke. Okay, I don't believe it's a freeway that it's going to come through here. So even though I'm still in the fight, I'm just going to stay in the fight, you know.
And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a voice for the people. I'm not just going to let you jump on me and beat me and I don't try to defend myself.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy. You know, my mom said, you don't just allow people to walk on you like you're a doormat.
Right.
You have to let them know. But the way the politics is going, he asked if did we see change? The way the politics is going, the way they're sitting on, look at this. This is something I wanted to remind Bryant of.
Okay.
And I'm not a perfect person by a long shot, but we have, let's see, 1, 2, at least 3 political officials that have offended the citizenship by taking money, by disrespecting, and they're still there. Why are they still there? Why? Because they in charge. It has to be, you know, we're gonna let you stay here, but hey, you know, we got some work for you to do.
Right.
So we got to consider that too. And on a larger scale, same thing. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against proud powers and principalities and wickedness in where? High places.
Right.
So that's why I say I don't give up. I'm gonna pray because that's what I do daily.
Right.
I believe prayer changes things.
I do too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And so I think it's women like you and I and Brenda, Dorothy, that we still have to let our voices be known on behalf of the people, because I look at you, Brenda, you look well, you look prosperous. Dorothy, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
God knows I stand in need of anything. But there are so many needy people out there.
Yes.
We've got to make our voices known to say, hey, it ain't about us.
Right.
It's about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also you go on.
Our neighborhood should have just as much beauty as the next neighborhood has.
Right.
Other than a dollar store and a general store.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, speaking of which, Ledbetter Heights historically is positioned to be the epicenter of culture, Black culture in Shreveport. It's in that position.
But who wants to control?
Here again, Huh?
Who want to be in control of that? Still want to get you all out the way so I can be in control of that. Yeah, you can have that, but I want to get you on over there on the Cooper Road, and we're gonna stay down here and we're gonna control this Black Cultural Epic Center.
No, that just should not be. We need a 300 to 500 seat place right down in that area for our business.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
We need a 500 seat facility that can service our culture, because it is time for us to have our Congo Square here in
All
Shreveport.
right.
You understand? It
Yes.
is.
But Brenda, it takes money. Now
They can't be the only one that's going to enjoy what it is that we do innately. Now they're piggybacking on what it is that we do. Ledbetter Heights should be a business area for when people come to this. Just think of this. If Ledbetter Heights was in the position right now, when these people come into this town next week to that
Right.
Port City Fest, they should be able to enjoy all of that, all of Milam and whatever other streets are over there. That is where they should be enjoying, and we should be benefiting from that.
Absolutely.
The money should be
Yes.
just coming back in this community. I'm upset because I have been here almost 10 years, and I can't afford to do a recital at Strand simply because it's too expensive. Now, if we had a center, a cultural arts center in Ledbetter Heights, that would not be a problem. We would have our own space. I would not have to pay so much money out of my pocket to do this kind of thing, to bring culture to this place. And this is what we are. We should be able to bring, if it's not here, if we don't see it, then we need to bring it to Shreveport.
But
We don't have anywhere. We have to spend more money going into these places.
They invest money and we don't.
Yes, that's
I'm just
exactly.
trying to keep it real.
You are right. You are correct. You are
It
correct.
takes money.
It
So I
does.
don't want to invest in Brenda.
They won't.
As a person of color, I've got to want to invest in your talent.
Exactly.
So if I feel like this is going to be good for our children and grandchildren, then all of us in high places,
Yes.
yes, Lord Jesus, we've got to pool our money together like they pool their money together to get the Strand.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you know what? We ought to not do. Miss McCulloch, we've been here long enough to have our own facility. My thing, why did they tear down the Star Theater over on Milam? Why did they tear it down? Who tore it down?
You say over on Milam because remember, they moving us out and they moving in. They don't want that over there in the way.
Now, I'm happy y'all bringing this up because, Shreveport is in a perfect position to be a tourist destination because of the culture that we have in the Shreveport area. A lot of the culture that Shreveport has, the history of culture, and I would say even still have the culture in Shreveport, is not being, what I like to say, showcased.
It's not
by
utilized.
us. Go ahead.
It's not being utilized.
Yeah.
You don't know the kind of culture, the kind of richness that we have has not been seen in this town. They're just quietly. How many African-American visual artists that live right here are within the architects that should be showing their works somewhere?
Well, the city of Shreveport has a program for that where you can just come down and display and whatever. But if your application is not accepted, Brenda, you don't get to display your work.
That's correct.
So you've gotta look at who the who's reviewing the application, and I won't go
Right.
there.
The gatekeeper.
The
Yes.
gatekeeper. Yeah, you're the hummingbird. I mean, you are a hummingbird. Our
but
people need to know about Brenda Wimberly. Our children, our babies need to know about Brenda Wimberly.
and there are several others.
But
But
if
they
Brenda
won't come, they
Wimberly
won't
put
come
in an
back here though.
application to come down in the city of Shreveport on wherever they display whatever art, whatever talent or whatever, if she make an application to the city of Shreveport, it's going to be up to the city of Shreveport to say, well,
Yeah.
your application was accepted or rejected.
That's
Right.
correct.
We back to square one again.
Exactly.
Right.
You are.
So,
And that's
And
why I
it
say
depends- and
it's
look,
just
it
about
depends
time.
on whose team you on, you know, because if you ain't team with the power people, then you're not going to be in, okay? So I tell people when they get ready to do something, I said, don't mention my name. That's because if you mention my name, you won't get in.
because look, Brian,
Mhm.
Renaissance Phase 1, I told Keith Hightower, I forgot my thought the other a few minutes ago. I said, Keith Hightower, I said, I was told my brother-in-law who died in around 2004, I was in Keith Hightower's office. I went and sat in his office. I was looking at him face to face. I remember the United States flag on my left.
Mm.
I said, Keith, I say, the word is, I'm gonna tell you exactly how it was told to me, Keith. The word is, they moving all the niggas out so they can move in and build townhouses and condominiums. Now, let me tell you what got my attention. I noticed they did filming over there for, was it movies?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They was filming for movies. You remember that?
Mhm.
And did you notice after they finished filming, before the Renaissance Phase 1 project came in, they fenced it all in?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why you
Yeah.
think they fenced it in?
Why?
I don't know.
It
Tell me
wasn't fenced
why.
in when Jackson Heights was there. It wasn't fenced in when
It
Jackson.
sure wasn't.
Why
Come
did
to think about
was
it.
fenced, it was fenced in before they even put Phase 1 of the Renaissance there. But see,
So,
Phase 1 was not supposed to come in.
right, okay. Now,
Uh-huh.
Now, Rose, let me ask you this then. Now, the part that they didn't finish or is separated for the other people?
Well, we just waiting until we can get most of you all out. See, we got to get all of you all out of Allendale. And we might not come through with 49 right now, but right now we got to make you think the heat is on.
Right.
And
You know,
we got to get most of you all out so we can come in here and build these condominiums and town houses.
Right.
Guess what? We're going to tear down Phase 1 of the Renaissance.
Oh, no.
yeah. See, I believe that now is the time for us to occupy Allendale, to occupy Lakeside.
That's exactly.
to
Exactly right.
to occupy these places. And the reason I say occupy these places is because it is Allendale, and I'll bring this up every time. Allendale is in the prime real estate area in Shreveport. It is right on the cusp of downtown Shreveport, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, me staying here in the Atlanta area, I work at Georgia Tech, and the neighborhood where I work at is called Midtown. Midtown surrounds Georgia Tech.
Mhm.
That is actually where they had the Olympics at. And I bring up the Olympics because people think that is when Atlanta started changing. And what I like to tell people is that is not when Atlanta started changing. Not when the Olympics came, but it was after the Olympics. It was after the Olympics when everything started changing, because people had to come downtown for the Olympics. And the downtown Atlanta still had some projects down there in that area. they came down and they saw, oh, I can walk from the Olympic place to underground Atlanta. I can walk to Phillips Arena. I can walk to the Centennial Park. I can, man, I'm about to buy this. I'm about to, man, how much, you know? So what is happening, that's when Atlanta started changing. When people figured out I can walk to the places that I have to drive 20 minutes to now.
Right.
I can walk these places.
Exactly.
And I can take MARTA, and I can do this, and I can do that. And if you come down to Atlanta, I remember when I first started working, when I first moved to Atlanta, 2001, and I was a young man, and they had the club area called Buckhead. Buckhead was a club area, but they had the Buckhead neighborhood that was the rich area. But when you said Buckhead, that means you were going to the clubs. Right now, that area where the clubs was at is you couldn't even think about buying a square foot.
They got some of everything now, don't they?
What'd you say?
Buckhead, they got some of everything down there now in Buckhead.
Oh yeah, I mean Buckhead was always a great neighborhood, but you start to, you know, the farther you creep closer and closer to Midtown and around that area, and closer and closer, you got the Spelman and Morehouse. You like, ooh, I don't want to touch that. But now, you couldn't. I'm telling you, you can barely afford to park down there, let alone. But we have to see it. We see it here. But now what we have to do is, I believe, is show the people not only what you see, you have to show them what you see, but how you could take advantage of it. And take advantage of it, like I brought up my friend that stays in Decatur, take advantage of it by understanding what is home ownership? How does my house and my school come together and bring my property value up? How does being a great neighbor, cutting my grass and helping my neighbor bring my housing value up? All of this stuff bring my housing value up. How does I tell people I love my neighbor. He knows it. My other neighbor, she knows it. I love nosy neighbors, because nosy neighbors call the police when stuff happens. Nosy neighbors
like me, when they wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, they peep out the window to see who up around the neighbor's house.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nosy neighbors call, hey, there's some folks down the street playing the music loud. You're right.
Yeah.
And they show up and they take care of it. And also with nosy neighbors, they know people. They have relationships, right?
Neighborhood watch.
What'd you say?
Neighborhood watch.
There you go. And then they also know, my neighbor knows every person in our neighborhood. I go to her when I go to her, I say, hey, who are those? And she said, oh yeah, I met them last week. That's such and such and such, blah, 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 right? That's what you need in neighborhood. That's what neighborhood is.
But let's say this. Let me say this. Right now where we at, and I can appreciate what you're saying, and it's so true. And I hear you, Dorothy. And I said this in the last meeting that they held up at David Raines. First of all, the damage has been done.
Mm-hmm.
And is it too late to fix it? Because right now I'm worried by the research I've been doing since I talked to Dorothy. They're saying the date of, I read about that bill 578. Edwards signed and passed that bill for funding. Now, and I later saw where the expectation date for this project in Allendale, the I-49 intersector, is late 2021, early 2022. is it too late to get your business boulevard for 60 million and then later on bring in a freeway for 99, I think 900 million or whatever? Because you got the same politicians in the same place. So is it too late? I mean, because the damage, there's a lot of damage that have already been done.
But
So-
it's not too late, Rose,
We got
because
Renaissance One over here. What you all gonna do? You all got hills and mountains and moles over here. We were supposed to have a Renaissance number 2, you know, low income, high, middle income, high. What happened? What do we do? Because you got the same politicians, selective. You got selective politicians in place not to make this happen. I'm not saying all of them. Please don't. I
right,
don't want to label every politician.
no,
But if we got
Right.
hand-picked selective politicians to carry these plans through, how do we come and claim phase 2 and 3? How do we say, well, you know, what you all gonna do with this land? You didn't bring the people back. You know, can you put them some houses over here to buy since you're gonna, how do you do that? Who do you get to do it? Are you gonna get Mike Johnson that pushed Bill 578? Because he pushed it.
Yeah.
He pushed it.
I mean,
How
but
do
you
you
know,
get it done?
I know Dorothy is thinking about this, and I'm thinking about this too. I always go back to San Francisco when the state of California tried for 30, 40 years to push interstates through the city of San Francisco. They not only pushed it, they had the backing, the money, and everything. Even the politicians in that area, they had everything. But the only thing that stopped them was the people. I mean, they literally had it where they had started the construction in San Francisco. And I look at all of these other places. I look at Lafayette, I look at New Orleans, and I see that our voices are being heard.
yes,
And we all know they took $100 million from the Jimmy Davis Bridge
right,
to put on I-49.
yes,
Now, Jimmy Davis Bridge is sitting there rotten right now.
Looking a mess. Looking a fair mess.
That $100 million would have fixed Jimmy Davis Bridge, but they grabbed it and put it on the I-49 ICC. Now, just think, if they would have just fixed Jimmy Davis Bridge, just think, instead of taking that $900 million they got to ask the federal government for,
Right.
and put it on the streets of Shreveport, and use some of that money also to repair I-220. Just think how much that will help the city of Shreveport. That's the infrastructure. And then I was
Right.
hearing the other day, and I know you talked about this, Ms. McCulloch, before. I saw in one of your interviews, the city needs help to fix the water problem, the sewage problem. Am I correct?
Oh, yes, and they are on a mandate. Yeah.
So
They
how
have
you
to
going to
spend
spend
millions
this
of-
money?
They got to spend over $90 million to fix that.
Yeah, how you going to spend all this money on a 3.5 mile interstate through the city? Now $1 billion, and you can't even fix your own water system in
right,
the streets and the Jimmy Davis Bridge that you had the money up there ready for.
Because you got raw sewage seeping that too.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, you got raw sewage, and you want to force the people to fix any busted pipes or anything due to your poor management, you know, within the city
Right.
limits. So they're constantly, it seems like, enslaving us. If we get hands on a little money, you know, we got to spend it right away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's
Well, listen, who, the powers that be, do we need to keep flooding letters to the Secretary of Transportation, Mr. Buttigieg, or who?
well,
Who
you
do
know
we-
what,
and then-
basically,
now,
when-
Brenda, you use a good word there. You use a good pronoun. You say, who do we?
yeah,
Who is the we?
It should be everybody that's concerned about the infrastructure in their city.
That's right. It should be everybody who does not want that freeway going through that community.
And whatever
That
else
take
that we
good
needed
work.
to
Whatever
have
else.
fixed.
And Brian, that take, look, I tell you, I walked a 2,000 name petition.
Yes.
When you walk a petition, you drop it off, you better pick it up if you want it, but it take energy and it take footwork. So you got to have people that's not going to just say, we need to get together and we need to do this. We got to find some weeds that say when we going to get started.
Yes.
And the thing about it, look, even when we did our petition for those who weren't able to go to any of the meetings in the beginning when we started, all our petitions wasn't even counted. They count what they want to count. Y'all know that. Y'all know how to vote. Just went with the presidential thing. So you know, they.
And while we packed it out, we had a petition, we had letters, we had the presidents, we had the people, we had the preachers, we had everybody. But when it came down to that vote, see.
And this is the reason why we're doing this podcast and we're putting the videos out on Twitter and we're putting it on YouTube. That's the reason why we're doing this. That we're trying to put the word out. You know, I'm putting videos everywhere I can put videos, TikTok to Twitter to Facebook to Instagram, and if you type in the words I-49 in Shreveport, one of our videos should pop up, because that's what we're doing, and we're trying to make sure that stories like the Swepco Park incident and stories like the Renaissance Project, which, you know, you guys are giving me a lot of information now. It's time for me to do a video on that, right? To get the word out on the tactics that Shreveport, the city of Shreveport, have done. And the great thing about today is everything can be done electronically. Everything can be, and once you put it on the web, when you put it out on the web, it's there, right?
Yeah.
So like right now, I'm looking at community celebrates groundbreaking of the Renaissance at Allendale, April 8th, 2014, phase 1. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
And
where's phase 2 and 3?
Where's the rest of it?
And if you pull up, and if you go downtown city of Shreveport, you'll see it on the agenda, who made the motion, who's second. But I called them sleep. See, they were so used to it. I called them sleep that time. They weren't paying attention, Brenda. And I have to be careful, but it's the truth. And I thank God for it. You know, I thank God. I don't thank myself. Because I put it on there. I worked with the Shreveport. I worked with what's his name with the Shreveport Housing Authority. When the MPC voted it down, I said, "Look here." I said, "You got 10 days to appeal." I said, "But look, I want you to write a letter right now and give it to the city clerk and tell him you wish to appeal and put that case number on there." And we had a meeting coming up the following week. And I had the clerk questioned me. I said, "But put it on the agenda, that's in my district." Therefore, my colleagues didn't get a chance to review it that quick. So when we did have our meeting, they didn't pay it any attention. And I'm sitting up there on pins and needles. Lord, I hope they don't see it. Hope they don't see it. And the next day when it was voting time, I said, "Lord, I wonder if they saw it." It went 6-0.
Wow.
I got Sam to second. Sam would always second me. But they didn't know what they had done. They didn't realize, because they were so busy with the metropolitan plan. You know, I told you that there was a code that hadn't been changed since 1958. Remember I told you, Dorothy, I was 3 years old. Well, Sam put me on the Metropolitan Planning Commission as a representative from the city council.
Okay.
So I got that 1958 code change. I was 3 years old. They don't want you to know. They got me out of office. I don't know what they have done to manipulate that and change that. you know, so that this plan could go through. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, because when you're dealing with the, it had to do with the coding system in the city of Shreveport. It had not been changed since 1958, which means, look, you got to do some things differently now. But when they got me out of office, Bryant, whatever they had done, because remember, I don't know if you heard, some kind of way the MPC got split up some kind of way. So we don't know what changes, because you know, it's always been said they can always change stuff to benefit them.
Always.
So we don't know what has been manipulated or changed whereby this I-49 project going through, the platting of property. See, all of that, they do that illegally through that MPC. A lot of illegal stuff. When they did Rosenwald, a lot of illegal stuff went on. And even I would go down there and stand before the commission and bring it to their attention. Guess what, Bryant? It didn't matter. It's just you down here, Rose. Your folks done got tired of following you down here. You down here by yourself. We're going to kick you in the butt. And every time they brought up a proposal for a 15-year lease in this section of MLK, this section, every time it popped up, I pop up out of my seat. I go up to the stand. I'm kind of Parish Commissioner Rose, McCulloch. I wish to oppose, blah, 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 blah. I had to do that every time, knowing that I was going to lose. But I wanted the record to reflect that, hey, the citizens is opposing this.
Right. Wow.
And you know, it's I know it's a lot of times, and me and Dorothy talk about this, and everybody else have this question about why don't other people step up, right? Why don't the people step up? And like I tell Dorothy all the time, you know, our neighborhoods are usually low-income neighborhoods where the people are just fighting for the bare minimum, right? They're fighting for the clothes, food, and shelter, right? They're surviving, like you said. So a lot of times they don't have the energy to step up and say things. And that's why I believe that, especially with this generation, I keep saying this generation, like other generations didn't do it or try to do it. But the great thing about this generation is they have this thing called the internet. And what the internet has done is it has gave them the financial knowledge. It has put out the knowledge, and there are people pushing the knowledge out there to motivate these young people today to get out and protest, like we saw with the Black Lives Matter, to also get out and start to find their financial footing in the world. And to understand that we have a lot of people that move away from Shreveport, like myself, you're right.
Yeah, my children say they'll never be back.
Yeah, but you know something, this is why I tell people, do you really want them back? Right? Because I look at Atlanta, I bring up Atlanta because I say here.
I got a son in Atlanta.
Yeah, I bring up Atlanta because if you talk to somebody that have moved to Atlanta or somebody that have moved to Dallas, they know more about Dallas or Atlanta or Houston, right? Ms. Wimberly, you know, you could probably tell me about all the nice stuff down in Houston. When you moved down to Houston, you probably talked to somebody that was tired of Houston. Oh, I can't wait till I leave Houston. Can't wait till I get out of this place.
Exactly right. And I just loved it. I love the inner city. And so, but I didn't see what, but they had been there, I guess, so long that's why they were tired. But I did not see that. I just saw an empowerment zone. That's what I saw. I saw the empowerment of the people, the empowerment of the ministers, because my pastor was on the front line of Sheila Jackson Lee being where she is today. She's a member. She was a member of the same. We were the member of the same church. But it was. I don't see that kind of energy here. And we're not fighting. We have stuff to fight for. We have stuff to fight. We have to fight against I-49, and I don't see that kind of energy with people.
Well, and you know that energy sometimes comes from outside the city. sometimes it comes from people like yourself that has moved, that have stayed in Houston.
Right.
It comes from the people that just have that fight in them, like Miss McCulloch. And it comes from Dorothy that has stayed in other places like Portland. We have seen better.
And
Yes.
sometimes it just comes from people in other communities coming over in our community to help, because I hear a lot of times, they talking about some of these politicians. Y'all need the white man to tell y'all where to live, blah, blah. So I don't need no white man to tell me I need a roof over my head, but that's just a ploy because they see what's happening and because they want to come in and help educate us on what's going on so that our eyes can be opened up as well. But that upsets those powers to be because they know that they have the facts and the information, and these people who are coming in, some of them are architect planners. I mean, they've lived in Shreveport, they probably worked with NLCOG and the MTP, the MPC, Metropolitan Planning Commission, so they see what we don't see. Because for me, as Black people, when we come in our community, what we see, like Roosevelt said, first, we're just concentrating on, okay, I got a place to live. We're just trying to survive in the beginning.
Dorothy, you muted.
Oh.
No, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. No, but it's a place when we come in and purchase our home. First, it's a place of survival, having a roof over our head, making sure our families have what they need. But as we get into these different neighborhoods and communities, then we might open our eyes and start looking around. A lot of times we are not relational enough in our communities. We got to have the relationship. And the way we form the relationships is either through our neighborhood where we live, the church that we attend, the schools that our children attend, and then we start forming these relationships. But even in some of the neighborhoods now, even some of my neighbors, they'll ask me, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. What are they, how far are they with making the decision about the I-49 inner city connector? And I'm like, why don't you come to the meeting sometime and find out? And, we would love to hear what you got to say about it. And really, these people do have something to say, but again, it's like, they're working. Some of these people work 2 jobs. They have kids. And so
we need our elected officials.
Huh?
We need our elected officials. I remember Roosevelt, when I was serving on the commission right before I got on the council, the people of color that were elected officials decided that they would form a coalition. Okay. And the first meeting that we had, over half of them didn't show up. I said, okay, that tells me what time it is.
Okay.
If the whole idea is for us to come together as people of color representing the people, and I'm hearing your needs and you're hearing mine, then this is the perfect time. But Dorothy, if you have politicked against Cooper Road, if you have politicked against Cooper Road, if you have accepted what they call it, bribery or whatever,
Right.
you can't come sit at the table with me.
Right.
So that's what that told me. I was excited because I wanted to be there as people of color among each other, raising hell with each other. I did.
But you know what, Rose, a lot of times,
Go ahead.
even if we all are not going to agree on the same thing, still let us come together so that we can, air our differences out so that we can agree on something. Because you know what? In our community, in our neighborhood, we all need at least one thing in common. And we need to be able to have a relationship with each other, whether we agree with each other on politics or whatever. I still need to be able to look down the street and wave at my neighbor and say hello and she respond back, even if we don't agree on some things, even if she's saying, let the freeway come through, I'll get paid for it. And then I'm saying, but you're not going to get where are you going to go and live for the amount of money that they're going to give you in another dilapidated community? And some people don't care about that.
So Roosevelt, is it true that we have been conditioned? We have been conditioned to go against each other. So that's all we know.
I don't think that we have been conditioned to go against each other. I just think that we have been in survival mode for so long, right? What's the old adage? I don't have to be the fastest person out there. I just gotta be faster than you, right? And I think when you're in survival mode, that's what you're thinking, right? When you're in survival mode, you don't see what's truly going on around you. I like to talk about how billionaires, once they get to be billionaires, if you look at through history, some of the richest people in the world got all the money in the world and realize this money can't do me anything, right? They get all the money in the world and they start to give it away, right? You go through history and you hear about the Vanderbilts and the Fords and this and that, and you see all of these, these places that they built and all the money they gave away. And it's a billionaire right now. He just gave away all his money because he got to a point that he understood that I have been fighting and hustling for all this time, and this money means nothing. So when you're in survival mode, all you know is survival mode. Like if I gotta push you down to get to where I need to get, oh boy, you push down.
Right.
So I believe that's why I believe that financial literacy, I think that we as a community need to start teaching financial literacy on a three levels, right? The parents, the young adults, and the children. Because if you teach the children about financial literacy, the parents are going to be, they're teaching them something totally different. Who are you going to listen to? I'm going to listen to my parents. Right. So that's why you got to teach it on all three levels. And there are people out there that don't want you to get out of survival mode because you're easy to manipulate in survival mode. If I tell you that it's $1 underneath that trap, and I say, and they say, well, $1 ain't gonna help me out. Where's $100 underneath that trap? Then you gonna look at that trap like it might be worth sticking my hand underneath. You know it's a trap.
Right.
But you're willing to stick your hand underneath that trap to get that money. But if you have financial literacy and financial understanding, and I know it's a trap. Why am I even going over? I'm not even looking over there. When you understand, because I told this young lady the other day, she said that she had 2 jobs. I said, baby, I'm being 100% real with you. If you got 2 jobs, you don't have one, because you're spending the money from your first job to maintain the second job.
That's so true.
So you don't have one job. If you don't have, if you have 2 jobs, you don't have one. We need to get you to a point to where you can either pick the right job, understand how to move up in that job, or start to look for something else.
Right.
But you got to find a way to stop surviving and start to thrive.
Right.
And that is why I don't think we're not conditioned to think this way. If you look all through history, all the way back to Sumerians, from the Romans to the kingdom of Mali, poor people have always struggled. The poor people have always struggled. There's always been crime. There's always been corrupt politicians. But if you look at the people that we look at now, the Jewish community doesn't, people think they stick together. No, what has happened is that the ones at the top of the Jewish community have thrived and has a place for them, for other people to go and thrive. If you go to Jerusalem, you will see people and talk to people that do not think on the same accord as the top. But guess what? They still get to take advantage of what the people at the top has done.
So you suggest from this point,
yeah.
Let's say we know Dorothy is with Allendale Strong.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the 100 men are strong because they got money.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we, because, and look, Mike Johnson, he pushed Bill 578. They got the governor to support it. And then Greg wrote a letter in support of Burrell. Okay, we come together, and then what?
Well,
go ahead.
You know what? Even as we had a meeting with Mike Johnson and his staff, he let us know from the beginning where he stood with this freeway. I'm for the freeway coming through. But that didn't stop us from having our meeting with him and educating him on what we knew, whether he wanted to hear it or not. Even, look, I'm gonna tell you something. Even in that meeting, he had told one of his officials before he came out that he was gonna have to leave early.
Right.
But as the meeting progressed and went on, he stayed through our whole meeting. Yes, he did. And invited me. He said, and this is what I told her at the end. I said, Representative Mike Johnson, I just want you to close us in a prayer because I opened it up in prayer. This is what he told me. He said, well, I might not pray like you. He said, but I think I'm going to invite you just to pray at our meetings to open them up.
What?
So, no, for real. So you know what? It doesn't, that's what I'm saying. I mean, let us just come into agreement. He agreed to sit through our whole meeting. Okay. You know, I don't know if it was after, look, I prayed or he started listening or what, but I ain't taking no credit for nothing because look, I asked the Lord to give me the words to say.
Yeah.
You know, but like I say, he stayed through the whole meeting because in the middle of the meeting, I said, okay, I said, well, I know Representative Mike Johnson is getting ready to leave. So, and then he said, no. He said, I'm gonna stay through the whole meeting. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, so again, like I say, you know what, we just have to continue to educate, speak what we know, speak your truth. That's all I do.
And expect change.
And expect change. Like I say, you know what? Again, on every podcast, I probably say this, I just fight the good fight of faith because I don't believe that the Lord brought me here to, for real, to just dismiss me and say, go to Allendale.
Right.
Allendale. I knew what Allendale was like before I came back here and after, because people like, why are you moving to Allendale? I said, well, you know what? The Fuller Center is building houses for Hurricane Katrina evacuees. And I said, we need somewhere to live because right now we haven't decided if we were going to go back to New Orleans or not. So, and we came on over here. But before then, Allendale was thriving. my fond memory of Allendale was coming over here to party, eat, and meet people because it was the coolest
On
place.
them Southern made Sundays, strawberry Sundays. Not
Okay.
Southern made, country made.
And even if I didn't go over to Pete
Harris.
right, Freeman and Harris, I would go down to the Harlem House and get me a hot dog, a chili dog.
Or the Silver Moon.
Right, to Silver Moon Barbecue, right over there by the little railroad track by the project. Where it was.
Exactly.
I mean, so those were fond memories for me because I met people when I came over. I got introduced to Ledbetter Heights by a girlfriend who I grew up with, who you know, Brenda, bringing me over to the club where the old folks be, and I was young. But you know what? It was a good experience. I went to Southern University, SUSBO, as we knew it of, where I met people from Allendale, Lakeside, Cooper Road. I mean, all over. I mean, Allendale, like I said, had everything in it.
That's right.
Everything. Nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing lacking.
No.
Was that Eisenhower that Representative Glover said you should not bring the interstate through a metropolitan community like Allendale?
No, Eisenhower was the one who started the freeways coming through these communities. And
who was that Cedric said when he came to that Allendale meeting, said that it shouldn't happen, that you should not bring the interstate through a metropolitan community?
I don't.
You remember Cedric told us that though?
I do remember when Cedric came to the meeting, but I ain't never been this age before, Rose, so I don't remember.
That's I just remembered that, and it just really took me.
Right.
I was thinking it was a governor or somebody, but I knew it was somebody that when I was a little girl, holding office. And Cedric said, he even said that with a community like Allendale, a metropolitan community, you should not bring the interstate through it.
And you see
from him,
who
he referenced, but he did.
And I probably can find that information out as well and let you know, and then I'll put it in my record so I'll know as well.
It might be good if you give him a call because I know he said it. I just want to be exact.
Okay, we can look to have him on too. The great Cedric Glover, right?
Get him on.
I want to thank both of y'all for coming in and talking to us.
Okay.
And you have blessed both of us with your knowledge, with your history, and with your love. And I want to thank both of you all for coming in and talking to me and Dorothy.
Okay. And Brian, I have to say this though. Ledbetter Heights, it's positioned to be a significant business and arts district for the greater Shreveport. And it should be our Congo Square of Northwest Louisiana. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, and you said a lot right there. You said a lot. So with that said, I want to thank everybody that's listening to our podcast, the Allendale Strong podcast, and please keep going and listen to our podcast. I want to thank everybody that's watching our podcast on the YouTube. You can always catch our videos first on RDB_on the YouTube channel, and then check out our podcast in any way you check podcasts, Apple, Google, wherever you catch your podcast. Like I said, I want to thank both of our guests for coming out and checking us out. And I want to ask everybody that's listening to our podcast or watching to like and subscribe. It helps our podcast be shot up the YouTube algorithm and also on Buzzsprout. So like and subscribe and check us out. If you want to go to our meetings, check out our meetings. You can always check our meetings out on the second Thursday of every month. Just go to our Facebook page, the Friends of Allendale Strong Facebook page. Also go to our Twitter page, and also check us out on IG of Friends of Allendale Strong or Loop-It49. Thank you everyone for checking us out today. Peace, love, and respect, and have a great day.
Hey.